there, people of the internet. My name is Jagero, and this is Dialogues with Jagero. Today, I'm in the studio on set with Muthoni Gitau. Muthoni Gitau, I have known her for more than 10 years, correct?
Yes.
You know, and I remember there is a time that you had a gig with Power 254, right? I don't know whether it was a consultancy, but we were hanging around Power a lot.
Yes. I was working on a project that Power was also working on.
Yeah.
And I was working out from the Power 254 office. And I think that's also the time you were writing your book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was writing my book, True Citizen.
Yes.
You are an enigma to me. How are you doing?
Right now?
Yes.
In this moment? I'm doing all right.
Are you doing all right?
In this moment,
What
yes.
What does doing all right mean to you?
Doing all right means I am breathing in and out.
Is that doing all right? I think that is the bare minimum.
Exactly. So in this moment, yes.
You are very passionate about the things that you're passionate about, you know, especially in terms of gender equality, you know, feminism, respect for women,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from?
I think, where does it come from? I don't know. The fact that I'm a woman and I see the inequality because I experience it.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I don't like it when I'm treated differently. I don't like it when I'm paid less for doing the same exact thing as someone else. I don't like it that I sometimes can't dress the way I want to because I am scared of harassment. So that's where it comes from. The fact that I'm a woman and I live through those iniquities, and I don't like that.
Okay, great. The way I want us to talk about, the reason why I've always wanted to talk with you is because of the things that I see you do. The do-it-yourself projects.
Yes.
You know, you have been very passionate about creating content. You've had, I don't want to call them scandals, but I want to call them scandals for the sake, for lack of a better word. Because when
you say scandals, Kwani, how many are they, Jagero?
There are not many,
Scandals,
but you've had the scandals twice. I mean, I'm not saying that you were in a scandal.
Yeah.
I'm saying that there was a scandalous kind of conversation around you.
Mm-hmm. My name popped up in
Your
the middle
name
of a
popped
scandalous
up.
conversation.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and you have been dragged through the mud. You know, I've sat here with Onyango Tieno,
Yes.
because he has also gone viral, and he has really suffered a lot of online bullying. I sat down with another lady, KoaMedia, and she talked about bullying. One of the things about bullying is that women often get a lot of bullying. For example, if you are caught having sex with another man,
Yes.
and you are both known, you know, like you're both
You'd
celebrities.
get the brunt of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
the woman will get, man, you okay, fine. But then
that's the nature of a man. You woman, what were you doing there?
yeah. So I want us to talk about your life as a
Yeah.
creative, and then we will talk about content creation, because I have a lot. The reason why I want to talk about content creation is because of the things that are going on in the last 1 month in Kenya. So now yesterday there was a press release by Conversations, Conversations about Cars, owned by Wakabi, I think Eric and Ibra. Ibra has, Eric has written to Ibra that he's no longer interested in having the conversations about cars together. And because they own the company 50-50, he's suggesting that they dissolve the company. They dissolve the YouTube channel, which is having about 200,000, 162,000, subscribers.
Yeah.
And Ibra talked very passionately about the unfairness, that if you do not want to work with somebody anymore, why do you want to also destroy the things that you've worked on together?
Yeah.
Why don't you just allow that to go on? There is Eve Mungai and Trevor.
Yeah.
Eve Mungai spoke with Andrew Kibe about it. I think now that conversation is nearing 1 million views.
Yeah, and her channel is over 100K subscribers already. With her new channel, that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Trevor was hosted by Ikonini podcast, and he was also of the opinion that Eve wanted the solution of everything, so that for some reason everybody starts from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why I want to talk to you about that is because you used to, you used to run a podcast with your boyfriend, your former partner.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to ask you about the conversation that went on when now you guys were parting way. What happens to what we have built together? You told me that you built a lot of it by yourself.
All of it.
All
I'll
of it.
say,
But the people that are looking from outside in do not see that.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we put a lot of work in something and the people outside do not. For example, when we are appearing here with you, people are seeing both of us.
Yes.
They don't know what's been setting up all these cameras and who drove here with all the equipment. And so that is lost to some people.
Yes.
I also want us to talk about there are a lot of ladies that are living alone. And you know, fixing things, do it yourself sometimes is problematic. You have to ask somebody, a fundi, to come and do a bulb, and then you have to pay them 3,000. You have to do this, you have to do that. So yes, so much about talking. I want to start with who is Muthoni?
Muthoni is a short, beautiful woman who loves cats and also loves color. And she enjoys good music, cooking, dancing, and once in a while she doesn't mind going hiking.
Yeah.
Once in a while, like when she's in the mood for it, yes. Away from that, what I do for work is I am a content creator and I create content in interior design as well as lifestyle. I am a podcaster and my podcast mainly focuses on, we have conversations about, it's just like you, but now as we just delve on topics in terms of like women's issues and creative issues as well. And what else do I do for work? Once in a while, I don't mind taking on a project where like I'll do an interior design project once in a while, but I'm kind of leaving that behind for now. And yeah, I'm a cat mom of 3. Well, technically 4.
What do you mean you're a cat mom of 3?
I mother cats.
You mother cats?
I have cats, yeah.
I used to have a cat, but those were the most stressful days of my life.
What do you mean? Cats are so chill.
I really struggled. I really struggled with the I had 2 cats, and I really struggled.
What was it? Where was the struggle coming from?
I think we are not cat people.
Oh, okay.
You know, the idea of changing diapers for cats.
You mean the litter?
Yes.
Changing diapers for cats, okay.
You know, I really struggled with that, and I gave one out, and I remained with one, and you know, I'm very guilty about. It started getting sick. I called a vet, I think, once, and then So where I live, there are very many stray cats.
Okay.
And I think for some reason it got some crazy disease from somewhere.
Maybe cat flu, because that's like usually the biggest.
Na ikaanza kukonda
Ilishindwa
kabisa.
kukula.
Yes.
Yeah, it was probably cat flu. Was it sneezing?
Not much. And then at some point, it got lost and came back after 2 months.
Okay, maybe it had just moved. Sometimes cats do that.
Moved to?
See, like, was it a male or a female cat?
It was a female cat.
Yeah, maybe it had gone to visit the boyfriend in hopes of getting pregnant.
So when it came back, its life really deteriorated after that. And I remember it got so sick and my daughter started crying.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then I went and called a vet and they came and took it in an ambulance.
So dramatic.
They came in a car. And then it died at the hospital.
I know the pain of losing
and then
a cat.
they went and buried it.
Yeah, that has happened to one of my cats as well.
Yeah?
Yeah. It got, actually the thing that was very sad about it was that the cat had actually recovered. But then when it came home, because it had not eaten for about 10 days, when it came home, it ate and then it ate a bit too much. And that's what killed it. Ended up dying because now by the time I took it back to the vet, it was too, like it had taken too much. It had taken more than it could handle, and then it didn't even last the night. It was so painful.
At the vet?
Yeah.
Where did they bury it?
University of Nairobi. Well, they didn't do a whole burial at that time because there's a time you could actually do burials at KSPCA. You pay. You see, like the way people do Langata.
Yeah.
There's a time you could do that for your pets at KSPCA, but then I don't know what happened. Sijui is space ilisha ama ni nini, I'm not certain. But now that one, it was taken. I felt so bad because I couldn't bury it because I didn't have if I had a compound and everything, I'd have done like a full proper burial. But at that point, I was living in an apartment, so yeah.
It was very difficult.
Yeah.
How did you get into do it yourself?
Honestly, I stumbled into it. I don't think it was ever planned. I'm a creative person. So whenever I had free time, I would just do things around the house. And it started with small things. I started doing crafts, the arts and crafts type things. Unachukua chupa, you paint it, you put lights in it, you put your flowers. That's how it started. And then I started experimenting where I was like, I wonder if I can build a table. And then I built a table and I was like, this is nice. I can build a table. That's good to know. And it was always just like repurposing different things. And then what happened is I just started taking on bigger challenges where today it's a table, then tomorrow I'm like, can I flip this entire room? And then I do the room and I'm like, okay, can I do this to a house? And then I do a house. And then I'm like, can I do a renovation where I change the entire structure of a house? And then, so it's just been like a very gradual growth.
Yeah.
And I think it stems from my curiosity, where I'm just curious as to how far I can go with something. And then once in a while, you're like, oh, it actually works. Okay.
That reminds me about something I wanted to ask. What is your upbringing like? I grew up in the village, came to Nairobi as an adult. Where did you grow up?
Just up the road. I grew up in KoaMedia.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Which part of Kawangware? Kawangware is now,
It's actually very different. Every
it's
time
now
I go
a jungle over there.
Yeah, it's actually very different now. When I was growing up, it wasn't the way it is right now. It was up your place in Congo, just next to Rusinga School.
That's where you used to live?
Yeah, we shared a fence with Rusinga School. So I remember like there's times when I'd be at home and I'd just like watch through the fence and watch the kids playing. And I even had friends who are students at Rusinga School. I remember even at one point when I was younger, I became friends with the children of the principal of Rusinga School. And once in a while, we'd go hang out. Because I was always curious. I would just go walking around and then you discover people and then you become friends because they have a dog and you play with their dog. And then you're like, oh, they have a backyard. And they're like, do you guys want to come play with us? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Because we didn't have like space for playing.
Yeah.
And then we became friends. But I grew up in like the place we lived, it was with our family members. It was land that was previously owned by my great-grandfather.
Oh, yeah? So you guys were landlords over there?
Not really, but we didn't pay rent because it was 3 houses and all of us were related to each other. So basically, my great-grandfather had 3 wives. So from each house, from each wife, there was one family that lived in that space because it wasn't a big space.
How was that place like? Because I know how that place doesn't look good these days.
Yes.
How was it like when you were growing up? And I think I need to push this. Oh, it's close enough, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
How was it when I was growing up?
Because I lived at Deliverance.
I know Deliverance.
Yeah.
We used to go fetch water there.
But that's where you see that shack over there?
Yeah.
That's the shack where I lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we could have met Kitambo Jagero.
Yeah, I would have married you.
You're too traditional man.
No, I am okay. What do you mean I'm traditional? Ebu tell me about you. Ebu tell me, why do you say I'm a traditional?
No, I don't know. It's just like it's assumptions. But I think
what is a traditional man? What's a traditional man?
Of yesteryears, not this Jagero. I think this Jagero is a little woke. This Jagero is
but
you're more open to things.
I don't remember having serious I know my memory is bad.
Yeah.
But do you think that even when we were at power, do you think that we had spars and exchanges that
we never had exchanges?
Or you're just hearing?
Not hearing. There's ways you used to present where like we couldn't have a conversation.
Yeah.
about certain things. There are certain things you're very passionate about,
Like what?
especially politics. Jagero,
Oh,
we couldn't talk to you about anything political.
Yeah.
And there's times you would actually, you've hurt a couple of people with your words. You
Right.
should know that. I'm one of those people.
Yeah?
Yes.
Ebu, tell me so that I can apologize properly.
No, there's a time, it was, I think it was, we were discussing something about post-election violence.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and you said, I asked you if you found, you know me as a person.
Yeah.
If you found me being mob justice somewhere just because I'm a Kikuyu, if you would help me.
Yeah.
And you said you would walk away. And that
Really?
yes.
Ah, damn!
Yes. That was very hurtful because I was like, Jagero, you know me.
What was going on in the political? What
You
was going?
tell me.
I think that is really, really strange.
Yeah.
That I had that kind of outlook to life.
Yes.
That is horrible. That is really, really, really horrible.
Yeah, and you used to have like, even on Facebook, your Facebook would get very heated.
Yeah?
Because sometimes you'd share certain things and we're like, is this the same Jagero we know?
Yeah, I think so.
So we got to a
Facebook, I
point-
remember.
Yeah, we got to a point where we'd like anything political. I'm just like, I'm not going to have that conversation with Jagero.
I used to be very passionate about politics.
Yeah.
Kitambo. I think it is my upbringing. My political upbringing wasn't good at all, because I grew up in the village, and there are things that we use. I was telling Munuku today, who is a friend to both of us, that Munuku, we were told Kikuyus are monsters when we were living in the village. Like we used to be told that if you're going to shake the hands of a Kikuyu, then you must count your fingers when you withdraw the hand.
Oh, wow.
You see,
Yeah.
they were really mean stuff. You see the way Kikuyus were told about Raila. We were being told
But
about.
now that's the difference. I don't know what they were told, because I think now again when it goes back to the upbringing,
Yeah.
where I grew up around a lot of people from different cultures.
Yeah, especially Lunjes are very many.
At one point I used to speak Lunje fluently
You
because
see?
I was surrounded by Lunjes a lot.
Yeah.
And we even like with the kids when we'd play, they'd speak in Luya. So there's a time even my mom used to be like, "Hey, this child speaks to me in Luya."
Yeah,
Yeah, and it wasn't a big deal.
yeah,
Yeah. So it was like, for me, I think I was in a melting pot. We had a lot of Kisis.
Yeah.
Because like Kangware has people from everywhere, right? I went to school with Boranas.
Yeah.
So there was, we never saw those lines, because even in conversation politics, it never came about like that. Because I remember my first time being very shocked was during the post-election violence,
Yeah.
because we also now experienced it very heavily. And I remember seeing people who I know now being like, yeah, let's go kule, kuna Kikuyu twende tuchome hizo nyumba, and they're talking about our houses.
You see?
Yeah, so now you're like, what do you mean? What's happening? I'm confused,
So for us, my upbringing was like, for example, I don't know if Ochuka, you know this, that the Nilots, the Luos, the way I grew up, every other tribe was looked down upon. So, for example, we call Kalenjins Jolango. So the Lango people, we know no respect for them, Jomoa, and then for you guys it was personal. Luos and Kikuyus were very personal because of even my father used to tell me stories of how Mboya was killed. They used to tell me of how a Kikuyu just walked down and shot him several times in the streets of Nairobi. And the whole idea of Raila Odinga being denied, positions in government and being denied leadership, Ginga Odinga being denied. They're talking about how Ginga Odinga was at the center of the struggle. And then a few years down the line, he was pushed away by the Kenyatta regime. The story of Russia's shooting was in 1977. Then 1969, where a delegation of Kenyatta went to Kisumu and children were shot along the way.
Wow.
Yeah. So those things created a very serious wound among the Luos, and we were taught as children that Kikuyus are really, really, really bad people. So then I am growing up in the village. Suddenly, I am coming to Nairobi, and I find all these Kikuyus left, right, and center, and I don't know how to, So that kind of upbringing. So then it started changing.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. My very first trying to do a book. I get to Power 254 and I get Kikuyus in leadership at Power 254, and they help me birth my book. They help me do all these things to me. When I was coming from the village, I thought that my uncles in Nairobi are the ones that are going to help me to take care of myself. And then that did not happen. I got into school and my mother died 5 months into my college. My father had died before. So suddenly I was complete orphan in the city. And I was in school. I went to a Kalenjin, and who was the head of department, and I told her that I think I'm going to drop out of school. And she tells me that, why don't you write a letter to school and tell them that you really don't have parents, and so they should give you a scholarship or something. And I was looking at them as Kalenjins. People that I don't think wakuna utu, those guys that are killing people on in Nyakach using poisoned arrows. So but I wrote the letter anyway. And then 3 weeks later, I get called in the principal's office, and they tell me that all my debt has been erased, and I'm going to get full scholarship for the 3 years.
Oh wow!
So you see, that's a Kikuyu, that's a Kalenjin. And then I come to Power 25 for the Kikuyus. So now where are the Luos? I'm not seeing them. You get? And then I get a book out. And
which we bought.
Yes. And if you look at the tribe that bought that book, it was 70% Kikuyus.
Oh.
I had those names and I checked the analytics manually.
Wow.
They were Kikuyus. I think the Luos were coming to about 10 or 5% of the people that bought. So I started changing because I'm seeing what is happening. I am realizing that I start to unlearn. So when I'm talking to you at the Power about this, it's my upbringing and my outlook towards these people. So like right now in Nairobi, most of my friends, apart from the core, like the Riks and the Agak, they are Kikuyus and there are other tribes.
Okay. Like I said, I think you've evolved. I've seen the change even because for the past 3-4 weeks we've hung out a lot more. And I'm like, oh, there's a huge difference. You're a different person. Nilikuanga tu ile
I think that I was a bit thorny, and not very nice. So you grew up in Kawangware. Where do you go to high school?
I went to high school in Thika. But not Thika for Thika town. Thika mashinani huko ndani. We used to panda,
those red pathways.
Yes. We used to panda matatus that were face me's where, and it was that was 2004, I think. So I go to high school in Thika. There's a lot of people, but there was a lot of Kikuyus there because it wasn't a big school. Even going to that school was because I had been sick just before going to high school. So my mom had to call in favors to see if anyone would help me get a school because I was very sick. We didn't look for a school. I don't even know if I was called to any school or not.
What was going on? Do you mind talking about it?
I don't mind. Basically, one morning I woke up and I couldn't use my legs or my hands. And it had started with just a headache. And when we went to the hospital, it took a while before they found out what the problem was. And it happened that I had a growth that was growing in my head that was pushing my nerves. And they were unable to send signals to my limbs. So at least it took a while for it to be fixed because at first they had to try and target it without surgery to see if that would work. So that worked and that helped a lot. But it was months. It was about 2-3 months of doing that. So by the time I was going to high school, I was a bit behind. And even going to boarding school was I wanted to go to a boarding school from the beginning of it. And my mom really wanted me to go to a day school because she was like, you've just been sick. I don't think I can just trust you to just go and these people will neglect you. But I insisted. And so we had an aunt where my aunt was married. They had a child who was in that school. It's called Our Lady of Fatima, Kiriko Secondary School. So they called the principal and they said, hey, so there's this young girl, she's been sick, we weren't able to get her a school, can you guys give her a slot? And they said yes. So that's how I ended up there.
That's not where you were called.
I don't know where I was called. We never went to pick any of the letters. We didn't have the time. You
were dealing with the health issue.
Yes. So we never had the time to look into that and figure out any of that. Because by the time it was time to go to school, I was still dealing with the health issues. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about, so you come back, do you go to college or you start hustling immediately?
Both.
Both? Yeah.
So basically, when I get out of high school, I stay at home for a couple of months because you wait for that whole. The assumption was there's a year, there's like a gap you take because you finish high school like in September, and then the admission for public universities is usually like the next year, September, right? So when I come home, I tell my parents I want to be a DJ, and they look at me like I'm a crazy person. At first, I was like, I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to learn how to be a choreographer. And then I couldn't find a school that was teaching that. So I was like, okay, the next best thing is like a DJ. And at that time, we didn't even have like any female DJs. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I was like the first female DJ?
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then they're like, DJs play in clubs. So I don't think we can let you do that. And it became a conversation where they're like, oh, just go find a course. And then after you finish that, we can consider DJ school. So my cousin and I walked around Nairobi, looked at different schools. And as we were talking at that time, I was looking at schools for journalism. And I remember we walked into, I don't remember which school. And then someone was like, oh, have you considered mass communication? And I was like, okay, what does that entail? And they were like, oh, with mass communication, you learn everything around journalism. So it's not just centered on one. And then you can decide later on which part of the media industry you'd want to work in, but you learn everything. I was like, that sounds fun. That's what I'll take. So I go back home and I say, okay, I have found a course that I want to take. And it was at that time we had gone to ZTech and they were doing, there was a partnership with JQuat where they were holding JQuat classes at ZTech. So they had like their lecturers. It was like a town center campus for JQuat, but then they didn't have their own spaces. They were using ZTech College. So I applied for the JQuat program, mass communication, a diploma in mass communication. And I think it was 31st of August and classes were starting that September. So like a week later, I started classes. And then when we were doing classes, that's also the same time I started performing poetry. So I used to just do random shows because I was a curious person. It's like, let's go see what's happening at the theater.
Yeah.
I go, I see. I'm like, there's an audition. Let me audition. And I auditioned for a play. I got my first play. And I was the lead role. It was called Dangling Dodger. And I was playing a journalist who was like writing articles against a president. It was very fun. And I remember at some point, my parents were struggling to pay my fees, especially when my sister was now going to high school. And I was like, the whole idea of me going to campus was so that I could get a job. And I was like, but I feel like I'm working. So I just dropped out, basically. I fell off school and just concentrated on being an artist, I guess. Yeah. And he wasn't paying.
And I think you're still a DJ. You remember the other day you were telling me how many playlists do you have on Spotify?
I don't know how many they are. There's so many, but I have like a playlist for everything.
Like for what and what? You told me you have got one for karaoke.
Yes, for songs that I like to sing along to.
Yeah.
I have I think 3 for the shower. So it depends with the mood I'm in when I'm going to shower. I have one for.
How do you listen to music in the shower? You have a speaker.
Yeah, I have a tiny speaker, so I just have it in
the tiny JBL.
It's not a JBL, but it's a tiny speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The JBL kind of that has the hook.
Those small types. So I play that. I even have like an evening one for when I'm sitting down after I've finished my work day and I'm like cooking. Before now, I go take my shower and then I switch to the shower one. When I'm going for a walk, I have a playlist for that. I have my villain era playlist. I have a lover girl playlist.
Oh,
Yeah, I have so many.
You have a whole lot of them.
Yes.
And are they public? You told me they're private.
I don't.
Why do you have them private?
Because they're for me. Like I've curated them for me.
Now, I hope that you're enjoying this program. Over the last 15 years, I have been working online for clients in America, in Europe, and all over the world. And that is why it pains me a lot when I see a lot of African brothers and sisters saying that they do not have a job. Now, this is the problem. A lot of people are trying to look for a job in 2024 in their own town, in their own country, in their local area. Now, the truth is, there are no jobs in Africa, at least not so many jobs. The good news is that we have internet these days. We have a tablet, we have a computer, we have a phone, and that means that we can do a lot of jobs. And those jobs are online. That is why over the last 4 years, I've been writing a book that is called Digital Goldmine. It is a book that explains to you how you can earn money online. The 18 hustles that I've chosen are basically for Africans. Okay, because what happens when you are doing online jobs is that payment is usually a problem. So these 18 side hustles that I have put together in this book, you can be paid very well and very conveniently. Okay, so the book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. That is about $10. You can buy it in Kenya using paybill number. You can buy it online from anywhere in the world using a credit or a debit card. All the information about this book is in the description below. Just need to go to the description, click on the link, and you can buy this book. And if you have a brother, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a friend who is sitting at home and watching Netflix, please do buy this book for them. If you are the one sitting at home and watching Netflix and have nothing to do, please buy this book and your life is gonna change forever, because I have been doing this online and I've been traveling and I've been enjoying myself and having a lot of fun. So thank you very much, and now back to programming. What
I've not
happens if
curated
you
them
if
for
you have
other
them
people.
public? How would they not be yours anymore?
No, I don't know, because I've never thought of like, oh, do you guys want a playlist on this? Because when I was making them for myself, so I never thought.
I think it would be very, very
share
interesting
them
to
with
have
other
them
people.
to have them public, because
Maybe I'll publish
Onyango
them.
Tieno has almost 6 that he shares that are public.
Yeah.
And I've really, really enjoyed them.
Oh, maybe I can make them public. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll
you should
think
make them public and then write your name. I'll go look over the weekend
Okay,
if you've
no
turned it to
problem.
public.
Sour.
You know.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about doing things for yourself.
Yes.
Do it yourself. So I have been very interested in doing that for myself, but I've really struggled. I bought I think I spent around 200 and something thousand to buy tools.
What?
I think they're just in the house. I am not
I
using.
should come. Hey, Kumbe, when my tools were stolen, I should have just called you.
Who stole your stuff?
Thieves, robbers
In the house?
Yeah, people broke into my house and stole my tools. So like even the tools I have now, I've had to replace. I ended up replacing all my tools.
Were they coming to rob your house, or they were targeting your tools?
I think they were targeting my tools because there were other things they could have stolen, but they were very, very specific with the tools because they carried all the tools, and then they also stole cameras, my cameras as well.
You're shooting,
My
gear.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
When? How
it's
long
okay.
ago was this?
That was I think now a year and a half ago. We're in 2024.
That is after Corona.
No, yeah. So it was actually 2022. Yes.
Just the other day.
Yeah, just the other day.
Did you talk about it?
I did, but like I was in my field, so I didn't like really. I mentioned it and I glossed over it because it was also very. It was
Painful.
it was painful, but also. I was very scared of the fact, like, the thought of like someone was in my house when I was sleeping, because it didn't happen during the day when I was outside. I was in the house, I was asleep, it was at night, and then I wake up the next morning and the thought is like someone was in here. It was very violating in so many ways.
Very violating.
Yeah, because you don't know if these people walked into your bedroom and were standing over you. You don't know how many they were,
Wow.
Like there's so many questions that run through your head.
I've never had that happening to me. There is a time that I used to have a window that had so these guys, the window was open and the things were on the sofa set, and they just took everything that was on the sofa. There was a new laptop that I just bought. Was on the sofa. They took that, and then there was a speaker. They took that, but they were. And then the funny thing is that they took the key. They had a wire and they unhooked the key because we closed the door from inside.
Yeah.
And so they took the key so that they can open the door. But then there is the latch down there.
They couldn't open that.
So they weren't able to access the latch down there.
Yeah.
So when I woke up, I didn't know until 2 p.m.
Wow.
That's when I was going to look for the computer and I couldn't find it. And I just realized that, well, the computer was actually on the sofa, plus the speaker, and both are missing. So I ask our house help,
Yeah.
where is the key to the door? And we couldn't find the key. So we realized that actually these guys wanted to get access to the house.
Yeah.
You know? You are telling me the story of doing it alone. I think that, how do you, I have not been able to do it. I
Yeah.
do a lot of things, but do it yourself. But I must have a fundi. Like me, I'm just drawing it in my eyes, and then I tell the fundi.
Come do it.
Yeah, people come to my house and look at amazing stuff that I have done. It's my direction, but I haven't done it by myself.
Yeah.
If you want to, because I think it is a very important, what is the word?
Skill set?
Skill set to have. How did you start?
Like I said, it just evolved. My curiosity is what led me there. It was just like wondering what more can I do? Do I want to try this? And then, because also there's the ones that you try and they fail. They don't look as nice. And you're like, okay, I'll try again next time. And then this time around, I have the information of what I did the first time. So sometimes it's just like, I'm curious how this thing is done. So I think also the other thing I've done is I look at things and try to figure out how they were put together. So like I will try and deconstruct it with my eyes so that I get an idea of how it was put together. So I look at where the joints are, what are the cuts, what are the materials? Is it wood or is it like, there's that fake wood where it's like cardboard and then it has laminate on top. So I try and pick out those things. I think I have a very observative eye. So I'm always very curious. I notice the smallest of details in things, and then that's how I try to deconstruct and then go like, oh, so that's how that was put together. So if I wanted to do something similar, I can do it. So I usually break my things in frames. So I'm like, okay, so if it's like this table, I'm like, okay, cool. So the legs are one. This top is a different one. Does it have a mbao here? Yeah, I can tell it has something else. I'm like, that's another one. So that's how I break down things. So even now when I'm building, I break it down the same way. I'm like, okay, do I want to build a table? What kind of frame do I want for that? How many legs do I want for it? What thickness do I want for it? What shape do I want for it? Yeah, so that's basically how that goes. And then I start. After I have that, then I break it down, and then even in my drawings, that's how I usually break it down into parts. And I'm like, so the one part is the frame, then I have the top, maybe I have the base, I have the side. So basically once I have my frames, then I figure out how do I put them together. Yeah. And so even it's the same thing even with a wall. Like I think the more I've done it, the easier it has become as well. Because nowadays, like I'll walk into a room, and as I'm walking through it, I can be like, oh, you can do so much with this room. And then someone else is just like, what do you mean? So it's become a thing now. It's like, it's an intuitive thing. And I think it's also, it's a muscle you exercise. So the more you exercise it, the easier it is to tap into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you use the online, YouTube to see what people are doing, like the woodwork people are doing
Yes,
online?
always.
There is something that is always coming on my timeline called Domestika. I don't know if you've come across it.
I'm not certain.
They do a lot of woodwork.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've come across them, but there's like, I have some faves. Some
People that you follow.
People I like watching build stuff.
Yeah.
And I think also there's the simple stuff sometimes where I'm like, I want to. Funny enough, there's like a lot of Russian channels where where they just build stuff. They don't speak, they don't do anything. You just see the process, and I enjoy watching those because I can even watch them like at 2 times the speed or like 1.5 times the speed, and like it's a really short video, but you see beginning to end, and it's always fascinating. I think the reason I like the Russian ones, I feel like it's like we have access to similar things. When it comes to like say people in America, for them they're so used to just buying things at IKEA, and you just come and you connect it together because someone has already done that first part for you.
But I also see Americans are very high tech in the way they build.
Yeah.
Like they have lots of machines.
The tools, they use a lot of power tools.
Yes.
And I think that's also the reason why I gravitate a lot towards the Russians, because they'll use a lot of hand tools as well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I think I
And
like
even
I like the power tools.
Yeah.
Because
power tools are nice.
Because they sort of give you they give you the lines that you want, they give you the holes that you want, they give you the everything that you want.
Yes.
But
power tools are nice.
I look at it and it's
easier.
very technical.
Yes. Because also there's a lot of math that goes into it. Like 1 centimeter off and everything falls apart.
Yeah.
Or like 1 inch off. Or if you cut, sometimes you'll do your cuts and then maybe you forgot to account for the thickness of this, and now you have to go back again and reduce everything by 2 inches. So there's a lot of planning that also goes into it. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of other Kenya. There is a lady that is doing a lot of that in Kenya. I saw her on Instagram. It's just amazing how. So do you do this for other people?
I've tried, but I actually don't enjoy it. I think
Why?
I enjoy it for content, when I'm creating content, because then it's easier for me to explore. Like I said, I'm a curious person, so I'm always just trying something new. So for
Or
me,
do you,
once
do you feel like you want to do things your way?
I have a problem with authority. I know that already. That I know. But it's also, for me, I think once I know how to do something, I want to learn the next thing. Because I'm like, no, I already know this one. I want to know the next thing. So for me, if I'm doing it with someone, I like it when it's a challenge. So I'm learning as I go. And sometimes there's people who won't give you the grace to learn, because I'll be like, I'm doing this for the first time, by the way. So I have to understand the intricacies of everything. I need to pull it apart in my head and see how I'm going to put it together. So sometimes even when people reach out to me and they say, oh, I saw the wall you did in your bedroom. I want the same exact wall. In my head, I'm like, I've already done that. I don't want to repeat it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you can do it without creating content out of it.
But now for me, I enjoy it for the content. I
Talking to
enjoy the
people.
learning, and teaching people and figuring things out as I go, because that's how it happens. It's like we start and we say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. I've done the math. This is the number of pieces of wood I need. And then in the middle of it, we're like, wow, that's only half the wall. Like, I like that. I like the journey part. But also the thing that I realized with doing it for other people is they also come in with their own expectations, where now I'll say, okay, I know how it's done. I can bring in a fundi. So I come up with the concepts the same way you do it. I say, this is the concept, this is how we're going to do it. And then I get a fundi to do it. For me, I'd rather do it that way. But now the problem is sometimes people want to say, no, Muthoni did it.
Yeah.
And you see, when I'm doing it for myself, it can take me 6 days to do a wall. If I'm doing it for a client, I shouldn't have to take 6 days. It should be very fast.
Yeah, like 2 days.
Yeah. But now you see, the only way I can do it in 2 days is if I'm able to bring in a team and then we do it together. Because doing DIYs is exhausting. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. Me in my house, I can be painting at midnight and it's not a big deal. But I can't be in your house painting at midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you paint at midnight though?
'Cause
Lack of sleep?
No, maybe I'm just excited to wake up the next day and get to the next stage of my project. So you see, that's also the difference, is like the excitement of creating the space for myself versus creating it for someone else. When I'm creating it for myself, I get to live with it. So I'm very excited. I'm like, that's why I'm painting at midnight, because I'm like, oh, if I finish painting this wall at midnight, tomorrow I get to paint that one. And then because I have the images in my head and I want to see them come together, because it's always in my head, I see the final product. And even sometimes there's people who leave comments in my videos when I'm trying to explain what I'm seeing in my head, and they're like, I don't see it. But then when now you finish it and I see it, I'm like, oh, that's what she meant. Because for me, I'm a very visual person. So even when I have my ideas, I see them in pictures. So in my head, when I'm excited to finish that wall, you're like, hey, why is she painting at midnight? Me, it's because I know what that wall will look like tomorrow and I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, great. So for somebody who wants to start changing bulbs in their house and do these things, is there like a list of tools that you think somebody who is living alone should have?
Yes, I think everyone should have like a number of tools in the house. You don't need power tools. Forget power tools.
What do you mean by power tools? The things that
Yeah, the things you have to connect to
steamer.
electricity, those are power tools. Because also with power tools, there's a learning curve. You have to learn how to use them correctly. So they can become hazardous very, very fast, right? Now, suddenly, instead of being a power tool, now it has become a tool that can end you. Because you didn't attach it nicely, you didn't hold it nicely, or so there's a learning. So sometimes I'm like, start with the hand tools; they're the best. Starting with hand tools is the best. But I think the basics everyone needs. You need a hammer. Everyone should have a hammer, and it doesn't even have to be a heavy one, because also hammers come with there's like different steps.
Yeah, I see very light ones and then very heavy ones.
There's the tiny furniture nail hammer. You can have that one. Those ones are. Everyone should have that one, and then have a basic hammer. That one that if you need to just if your seat is dancing a bit, you just do twa, 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 just 3 times and you're good.
Yes.
Have the other thing I would say, have a screwdriver, have one that's flat, and have one that's a star. Those ones are basics. Have a tester. So there's an electric tester. So before you decide to touch your bulbs, you should have a tester, because sometimes you'll hear like a socket is doing bzz, bzz, and then you're like, maybe it's a loose wire, alafu ushike. So having a tester is important, because then it's easier to know, is current coming out through places it shouldn't come out from. The other thing I would say, have a pliers. Hiyo inasaidianga sana for clamping things, cutting wires and stuff like that. Those are the basics. When you have that, basics. And then if you want to start building, some type of a saw. If you have a saw and a hammer, you can build anything. And a tape measure. Everyone should have a tape measure in their house. That way, even if a fundi is asking, if you want your fundi, instead of the fundi having to come all the way
to measure,
you can measure and say, and the wall is 6 feet long, and then also learn how to read your tape measure.
It's very difficult to read a tape measure. That's what I wanted to ask you.
So
because there are so many things going on there.
A tape measure has, in total, it has 4 readings. But those 4 readings can be split into 2. So you have the side that has inches and feet, and then you have the side that has millimeters and centimeters. So and that also does meters. But the understanding is inches turn into feet, centimeters turn into meters. So for every 12 inches, that's 1 foot. For every 100 centimeters, that's 1 meter. That's all you need to know. Yeah.
And
so
yet I don't understand what you've just said.
They're written, actually.
Yeah.
On one side, it's written. So when you see the part that says FT, that means feet. So if you see the part that says 2 feet, that means that is 24 inches. Because 12 inches make 1 foot. Yeah. So measurements, mostly when you send to a fundi, they'll want the measurements in meters or feet or centimeters or inches. Centimeters or inches. So if you want very precise measurements, centimeters. Because that one, it gives you room for error. If you miss something by 1 centimeter, it's not going to affect much. But if you miss something by 1 inch, it's going to affect a lot. Yeah. So if you want something very precise, read the centimeter side. Because they usually they face each other. If you don't mind, if it's just like, you want to know like larger, whatever, use feet, which is the inches side. Yeah.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Let's talk about content creation.
Yes.
Which is something that I really, really want to pick your understanding on.
Yes.
We have had a lot of problems with content creation as a whole. But then recently we've been having a bigger problem of people starting things together as friends or as lovers or as partners, and then things go haywire. And then the question is, what do we do with this thing that we have been building?
Yeah.
But first of all, I want to ask you what you think about the state of content creation in Kenya. What is your... First of all, what got you into content creation? Was it the money? Were you trying things?
I was just trying things. Actually, I got into content creation by mistake, just like everything else.
How so?
So for the longest time, I wanted to host a TV show.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And I remember when I came across YouTube, I was like, oh, this would be a nice place to do that, because I was like, I don't think I'm going to be hosting a TV show on our mainstream media stations. So I wanted to have a TV show that does what my podcast does now, which is tackle subjects and then bring experts to talk about it. And at that time, I remember I was thinking a lot about mental health, because I was surrounded by a lot of people who were dealing with things, but we didn't know how to deal with them because no one was talking about it. And I remember one time at Power, I gathered my friends who had equipment, and I was like, hey guys, do you want to join me? We do a TV show. And they were like, yeah, this sounds like a cool idea.
Was that Lightbox?
Let's do it. No, friends, other people. It was like, I just called, I know a friend who has a camera, I know a friend who does sound, and I know another friend who's a good script writer. That's how that was. That was the meeting. And we're like, okay, so me and my scriptwriter friend will be working on the scripts and inviting the guests and asking the questions. The guy doing the guy who was good with sound would be doing the sound for us, and then my other friend who owned a camera, because we had two friends who had cameras. It's like you guys would do the shooting and possibly the editing.
Yeah.
And the meeting was at Power Rooftop. I remember it was like in the evening. It was dark, and I was pitching this idea to my friends, and they were like, yeah, that sounds like something we can do. And then we said, cool, we'll start a WhatsApp group and we can communicate and make plans. And then when everyone left, I was the one who's like, hey guys, when can we start? Let's get started. And it was just me speaking into a vacuum. So that never happened. And at that time, I was experimenting a lot with like makeup and things like that. And I used to get a lot of questions about how I wore my lipstick and my eyeliner. And it was like, I used to explain it so many times. And at that time, I remember on YouTube, there were so many beauty gurus. And I remember even when I was trying to pick up foundations, everyone would have like foundations for like black people. But then I'm like, but those foundations don't work here because our climate is also very different. So it's like I wear it, but now it's like I'm shining and there's so much oil and it's melting on my face because the sun is too hot. And I was like, we don't have people who create beauty videos for people based in Africa. We have the ones who are creating for dark-skinned women or for black women, but we didn't have people who are sharing tips on how to do it so that it works within our climate. And I remember the first videos I was doing for my friends. That way, if you ask me about, because I remember there's one time, there was this red lipstick I used to love wearing, Nuba Milebachi number 47 or 46, one of the two. And someone was like, oh, that lipstick looks really good on you. Which one is it? So I told them. They went and bought it and they came and complained. And they said, I bought the lipstick, but it doesn't look like yours. And I was like, maybe it's the way I apply it. And
yes,
they're like, so how do you apply it? And I explained and they tried and they're like, I don't get it. So I was like, I'm going to shoot a video for you so that you understand how I do it. So that's what I did. I shot some videos and then I was like, so this is how you do it. And after that, someone was like, so you just put it on YouTube. And I was like, okay. Then it was like, I can send you a link if you ask me how I do my lipstick. And then that's it. But now after that, I was like, I became curious about this space. And I was like, oh, it's that easy to shoot and put on stuff on YouTube. I was like, maybe we can do that. And then what do? I just reached out to a couple of friends who had cameras. And I said, hey, do you want to help me shoot? And I was like, we can shoot multiple videos in a day. So the first ones I shot with, I think you even know him, Mahebo. Robert Mahebo.
I know Robert Mahebo.
Yeah, so he's the one who shot my first couple of videos. He came to my house. I remember we shot like 3 videos. They were taken down for copyright because we had no idea about music or whatever. So we'd used people's music that we loved.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And so naive.
I know. And it was like skincare videos. So it was just like how I take care of my skin and how I was
These
being
days
natural.
I don't use any music on my videos. Like nothing. Like I tell Ronaldo, don't
it's
use
like you'd rather
any music.
Complete silence.
No. I am not using any music. Yeah.
So now after we shot, and then Mahebo became busy. So I reached out to another friend. He was also a photographer, Muhoro Masharia. And then he was like, yeah, let's shoot. He came, we shot a couple of times. And then Muhoro was based in Nairobi and Nakuru. So he used to shift between Nairobi and Nakuru a lot. Then it was harder to shoot with him. Then I reached out to another friend called Chule, and he used to live in Rwaka. And that time I was living in Athi River. And I was like, oh, can I shoot with you? And he was like, yeah, sure. But then he was like, hey, but I have a lot of things I don't think I'd be able to carry. Because he had lights. Because before, tulikuwa natumia natural lights. Just set up a camera. We didn't think about sound. Because these people are photographers. They weren't doing video. So we were learning about video on the go. And then me and Nenda nakaa chini, I would pass by Lightbox and ask for tips on editing. I would sit down with Kinawavua, Monica, and I'm like, so show me the basics. And then I'm showing the basics. I'm like, thanks. I go home. I use that. I edit. And then next time
what
I'm like,
program were you using?
I've always used Premiere Pro.
Oh, Premiere Pro.
From the beginning. Yeah. Then I come, I say, I want to be able to do a split screen. How do I do that? They show me. I'm like, thank you. And then I go. And then now at one point I was like, wait, I can actually find these things on YouTube. So what I would do is like with every new video, I would make sure I learn one new thing when I'm editing. So I'd be like, how to add this. And then I go and then I follow instructions as I do it on my video. And then now that video has that. Then the next time I have to have that and then one other thing. So when I was shooting in Rwaka, I used to leave the house at like 6 a.m. and I would carry a backpack that had all my things. So all the things I was using for my skincare, I had a plan. So we'd shoot 4 videos in one sitting. The first video would always be the one that starts with a bare face, because I used to do like skincare. So I would start with skincare. So it's like a mask. And then I would show like a makeup routine type thing. And then I would do like the full makeup one. Then I would do a video where I'm either reviewing something or doing like the crafty things. So it was always like I shoot 4 videos, but we've started like with the process of from barefaced until like I have a full face of makeup. And then now I do something where I have a full face of makeup, where it's like I've sitted here and I'm like, now I'm just showing things and explaining. And I would go home with 4 videos. So I'd come with an extra top and we'd shoot from morning till evening. And then now we'd only shoot, that time he was working as a banker as well. So we'd only shoot on his day off. And then after that, I go home with my 4 videos. I edit, Nikki post moja tu on YouTube. That's basically how my journey on YouTube started. And then after that,
how long ago was this?
That was in 2015.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, almost like next year it will be 10 years.
Of continuous content creation.
It wasn't continuous. I wouldn't say it was continuous. There was a lot of breaks in between. So I think even when I was doing it at that time, I didn't even know there would be money in it at all. I was having fun and I was enjoying, because I would post, and then I remember there's one time I was just like, I'm posting. I had so many followers on Facebook, but then they weren't translating because these people weren't watching. So I remember there's one time I went on Facebook and I told my Facebook friends, you people are not watching my videos. And I'm putting videos on YouTube. You better go watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like, why are my videos getting only 100 views? And there's like Sijui over 3,000 of you over here. And I remember Nani making fun of me, Edu, at that time.
Edu.
Yes. For posting that. But at that point, I think at that, I was like, okay, I'm posting, but I don't think I was thinking money. I didn't even know that. Like,
what was in it for you?
I was having fun. I was sharing the things I was
waking
creating.
up in the morning at 6 to go shoot videos the whole day for fun.
But that's the thing. I was enjoying the things I was putting together. So for me, I enjoy the creating process. I think that's usually the thing. So sometimes, because I've worked on projects with people where there's no money, but I'm like, oh, I've never done this before. Let's do it. I'm like, let me see what I'm going to learn from this. I've done something where someone was planning like a runway show. I've never done a runway show before. I was like, oh, this sounds like fun. Let's do it. So it's always, I think I've always chased my curiosity in the directions it leads me. And that was the thing. So even that time when I was creating those videos, it was like the makeup and the nini. It was just I'm sharing the things I'm learning about makeup. I'm sharing the things I'm learning about skincare. And I'm like, maybe someone else doesn't know about this and they'd be interested in finding out about it. Let me share. And then at the same time on weekends, I was doing the crafty things, but I wasn't sharing that. And then now I would post the after pictures of like, oh, guys, I made a table over the weekend. What? And then people were like, oh, did you shoot a video? I'm like, no, I just made the table. It's like, oh, you should consider shooting the videos and also have them there. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And then now I started shooting the videos of the crafty things I was doing and the DIYs and the makeovers. And then
at what point did it start giving you any sort of return back? How did monetization work for you? Did you know about it? Were you going? Were you working towards it?
At first, no. I wasn't working towards it, but I think there's a video I watched where someone talked about monetization, and I was like, that's interesting. So I went and did my research, and then I went and there were terms and conditions if there's terms and conditions that I read, it was for YouTube. But it was after I had already made the channels and everything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm curious what these terms and conditions are and where exactly is the money. Because also sometimes with these things, you realize like someone will say, yeah, you can make money, but not in Africa. Like those things like this is not available in your region.
Yes.
So those things apply a lot when you are doing things in the online space. So I went and read the terms and conditions and I was like, okay, so I need 4,000, whatever. And at that point, because I don't even remember at what point that happened. I don't remember when I got monetized. I don't remember when I started seeing that $1 sign there. I don't remember. Because I used to just put things.
Oh.
Yeah.
You did not race towards it.
No.
How are you putting food on the table?
I used to work. So at that time I was working, I used to do social media. I used to handle social media for a lot of people.
Oh, I
for
see.
Different people. So that for me, my money was coming from doing social media. But now you see, even when I was doing social media, we were running things on Facebook and Twitter. Those were the 2 accounts. we would do, and then once in a while, because even by the time I was a social media manager, we weren't doing anything on Instagram. It was always just Facebook and Twitter. So I would run campaigns on Twitter for different brands and different guys I used to work for. Even like that time when you're saying I was doing something at Power, I was doing social media for like Photographers Association of Kenya, and then in turn also for the
one for
Kenya
this
Photography
gentleman.
Awards.
Deritu.
Yeah,
You're
so it
working
was
with
a
Deritu.
partnership, with Kinanderitu, Power. So they were all coming together to put the Photographers Awards together, and the association as well. So I used to do social media there, and I would also sometimes do admin work for them. So I've always been like someone in the gig economy. You call me here, I come perform, cool. I come do a play.
So you
pay
were
me,
monetized
don't
without
pay
you
me.
knowing.
Yeah.
But they had to send you something to your post office.
So that's the thing. I signed up for that, and then now at that time, remember when Posta introduced M-Post?
Yes.
They had just introduced it. So I was like, oh, we can use my phone number as a postal address. I signed up, and then that's when I received that AdSense thing. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember I received something and I had to, there was like
Key
a
it in.
code. Yeah. I keyed it in, and then I was asked for my bank account. I was like, okay, cool. I put in, and then, but I don't remember all these other things happening. I don't remember at what point that
You're very
was.
comfortable.
Yes.
Because I
That's
see
the
I see a
word.
lot of people chasing it right now. Like, when am I gonna be?
Yeah.
You know.
But it's because now people know there's money in it. You see, when I was doing it, I didn't know there was money in it. Yeah, even the people I was watching, I didn't think they were gaining anything from me watching their videos. You get? Because I was watching, I remember I was watching people like Jackie Aina, her name is Alisa Ashley, and her sister. I used to watch Lily Singh a lot, Liza Koshy, David Dobrik. I didn't know these people were making money from it. I just thought, it's a space, you just can't put your things. It's like storage.
Like a drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then now at one point, I'm like, oh, there's money in it. So I went and read the terms and conditions and the things. And I was like, oh, that's what that means. Oh, and then, okay, what you mean by watch time? You mean, oh, okay, that matters. All right. Because even then, I remember like videos used to be like 5 minutes long, 6 minutes. And even then, you feel like, hey, this is a lot. Because we were coming from an era of just watching photos or having photos. We didn't have short form or long form. It was, you either watch TV, and with TV, it's like it's a full show, beginning to end. It has a story. But with YouTube, it was very different. So for me, I felt like, oh, it's a place you do things, and then you come share the things you're doing.
Do you remember the first time that you withdrew your money from YouTube?
The first, because, when people say, oh, I've received my first YouTube check, I never received a physical check. For me, money was sent to my account, and I was like, oh.
I think that's what they mean by a check.
Yeah, no, but there's people who would actually do the paka, they show you.
The check.
I don't know, because I was like,
I think those are Americans.
So it was weird. And then I remember the first thing I checked is like, where did the money come from? Like, which country?
Yeah, came from Switzerland.
It was Ireland.
Ireland, yes.
And I was just like, they don't even send this money from the US.
No.
Okay. And I was like, because I remember it wasn't much, right? Because when you're in Kenya, it doesn't show in dollars. We're paid in
It shows
euros.
you're paid in euros.
Yeah.
And I've wondered why, because for me, the channel shows them earnings in dollars.
In dollars, yes. But in AdSense, you're paid in euros. So I remember like when when they're like, oh, your threshold. Because the funny thing is that time, my money wasn't actually coming from YouTube. I was making more money from Google ads because I was running a blog. So I used to have a lot of Google ads on my blog. And I was making money from that.
They were combining it with the YouTube.
Yes, because right now they're separated. But then
they're separated right now?
Yes, because when you go, you can see your earnings from AdSense in terms of from YouTube or from another whatever. Because for me now, it's always been the same account. Because that's when I brought everything there. It's like, oh, I already had an AdSense account. So when they say, oh, build an AdSense account, I was like, I already have one because I had the blog. So I was just like, oh, just bring your YouTube earnings here. But now at that time, it was like they were separated. They weren't like under one entity. So I was getting money from Google ads. And then now when they brought, I think the first time I noticed was like, oh, the money was a bit more because with now the earnings from Nini, there's a threshold of you have to have at least 75 euros or more for you to get a payout. So the first one, I think it wasn't much. It was, I think, 78 euros or something, or 80. And I was like, oh, cool. There's some money. Yay. And I think, what did I buy with that money? I think I went and bought a watch. And
It
then
was coming to like 10,000.
yeah, I bought a watch. The watch was 4Gs. I remember it was a really pretty watch. I still have it to this day. And then the rest of the money, I think I bought a mic because I was like, now let's get like a mic for something for the channel. Yeah.
Were you very excited about earning money from...
I don't know.
You were earning a lot of money from gigs.
Yes, I think I was making money from gigs. So like in comparison, it wasn't.
Did you start now doing YouTube for the sake of having a little bit more earnings?
Not really, because even then I wasn't consistent. So it would be once in a while. So it's like if a gig comes through and this gig requires me for 3 months, I'm not going to be on YouTube for 3 months.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'll go do my gig, I get my
Would
money,
you do
and
that
then
today?
I come back. Would I do that today? Still, it depends with the amount of money I'm being offered. It depends with the money. Because even now, I don't think I'm earning that much from YouTube. But
from
also,
YouTube.
yeah, because there's also been a lot of inconsistency. Because also the thing with YouTube is it rewards consistency. So for you to consistently earn, you have to consistently be creating. And the moment you stop creating, literally that moment you don't post that video, you see it. You see the drop. It's an immediate effect. They stop pushing all your other videos. Like,
They stop pushing.
yes. Because you see, as much as they will still like if people are searching, because the advantage of YouTube is the search bar works in your favor if you've worked with your keywords and your SEO is on point, right? The search bar helps you, but they stop putting you in the browse feature, because with the browse feature they put like the more you're posting, the newer the content, that's what they start pushing out. But then if you stop posting, there's nothing new for them to be like, hey, Nani has posted a new one. Nani has no. So now, unless people are searching for you, you're not being pushed. So you see that immediate drop. It's an instant thing. Yeah. So I think the thing with that is like it's sort of a double-edged sword. If you can't be consistent with it, you won't see the fruits of it. But the more consistent you are with it, then the more you can see the fruits with it. And that's why even the guys you're talking about, when they're talking about like closing down channels and everything, the consistency of posting, because these people are posting like with them, if Mungai page, these times they'd post 5 times a day.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's a whole lot.
I know. I'm like, once a week, I'm struggling. How are you doing it 5 times a day? But you see, when they post 5 times a day, that's how they see their results.
Yeah.
I remember watching Ikonini and Mwaf talking about how they started posting every day because they realized, oh, the trick is in posting every day. The more often you post, the better your chances of even one of your videos going viral. Because YouTube wants people to stay on YouTube. So if I post once a month, even if that once a month I'm bringing in like 100,000 people, it doesn't matter, because there's someone else bringing 10,000 people every single day. That person will be given priority over me and my 100,000 people every month. Because if you do the math, they're bringing 50,000 people every week. That means they keep making sure people are coming back. So the more you post,
but now the question is, for example, myself,
Yeah.
it will be almost an impossibility to post every day.
Yes.
So, for example, if I do 1.5 hours,
so now that's also something else that YouTube cares about: watch time.
yeah.
If people are watching you, for
Should I cut it into 3 and say part 1, part 2,
no.
part 3?
So now
I really hate that part 1, part 2, part 3.
You don't have to do that. So you see, the thing is, I think the way your content is structured matters. You see, for you doing 1.5 hours for a podcast, it makes sense. When people are searching for a podcast, no one is watching a podcast for 10 minutes. It's someone who's like, because also with the advantage with podcasts is you watch them as you do something else, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a video. If I'm doing a vlog, although even now you can see people are creating longer vlogs because YouTube cares about how much longer I'm keeping people on the platform. So you'll see if I post, actually there's an experiment I did I think 2 weeks ago, where I posted a 3-minute video on my podcast channel to see how that what that does. And YouTube didn't, it was just like, it's like I did nothing.
Yeah.
Because I'm posting
I've also
1
seen
hour.
my 10 minutes videos doing really badly.
Exactly. Because you see, for them, they're like, no, we want the 1.5 hours. Why are you giving, what do you want me to do with 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So they won't be pushing your 10 minutes like that, because in 10 minutes, they're like, you're not keeping people on the site long enough. But if I push the 1.5 hours and someone watches even for 45 minutes, even them as a platform, they gain more from that than your 10-minute video. Then YouTube also works with ads. They're like, I can only put 1 ad in a 10-minute video or 2. I can put 10 in a 1 hour video. I can put 15 in 1.5 hours. So that also works in their favor. Because you also have to, for me, I'm like, even with these platforms, I think even what the choices they make those choices depending on how well they work for their platform. YouTube wants people to be on the platform longer. So, of course, they're going to be pushing out videos that keep people on the platform longer. So, if they see me watching a 1.5 hours video of yours, the next video they push to me, they won't push a 5-minute video. No, they'll show me another video that's 2 hours long to see how much they can push me. So, the next one, they're like, oh, she watched the whole 2 hours.
And they can tell that you watch
2.5 hours.
and they can tell that you watch the whole 2.5
Yes.
hours.
Yeah.
Because the videos that I watch are really long videos. And I never get anything smaller
Exactly.
than that. I hope that you're enjoying this program. I just wanted to break this program to tell you that if you like the images that you're seeing, the video, the editing, we can do your corporate work, we can do your podcast, we can do your documentary, we can do anything, especially if you're building something and you want to showcase it, we can always do that. So we are going to be leaving our contact on the description of this video. Please check it out. So if you have a job and you like what you're seeing, the editing, the image quality, contact us and we can do something amazing just like this for you. So thank you very much, and back to programming. You used to appear in a podcast with your ex-partner, and that relationship ended.
Yes.
And then you went ahead with your podcast. And a lot of people were saying, oh, well, now the guy is gone. Now she's remained with the podcast by herself.
Yeah.
This gentleman was just helping him to do the podcast, and then he has now been pushed out. So then what's going on?
Okay. So I think the misconception was that we co-owned the channel. That's a misconception. I was the one who started doing YouTube, right? And even when I was doing YouTube, I had not met him when I started doing my YouTube. The first channel that I had was under my name, Muthoni Gitau. So the second channel, which is Just Doing Life, which is now what I've turned into the podcast, when that channel started, before it started, when we met, I used to invite him to have conversations with me. Because remember when I told you my dream was to have a talk show.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to have conversations with people. And I used to invite him and we'd sit down on my channel and have a conversation. That channel slowly started becoming more about the interior design work, because I used to also share vlogs, lifestyle vlogs, cooking videos, and then the conversations. Those were like supplementary videos that I would post. But then it quickly developed into mostly about the interior design stuff. So I thought I could have a second channel where I'd move the other stuff, the BTS of the interior design work. And then I would also have those conversations with him. And I would also have my cooking videos and my vlogs there. That's how Just Doing Life was born. So when that channel was born, I remember even like when the first video, I said, this is not a couples channel.
You said that?
Yes. Because it was not a couples channel.
Why did you think it was important to say this is not a couples channel?
Because couples channels operate very differently, where you do couple things. Does that make sense? There's the pranks, because I remember even saying those things. You won't see pranks here. You won't see the get to know my partner type videos, because it was focused on the lifestyle bit, hence Just Doing Life, and the conversations. So it was important for me we have sit downs, we pick a topic, and share our opinions on the topic. And I remember I used to post 2 videos a week on that channel. One video was always the vlogs. It was a lifestyle vlog. And of course, he'd appear in the videos because I'm shooting in the house. We live in the same house. So if I'm cooking and when I'm done cooking, I'm like, okay, what do you think of the food? And you're there. If I'm cooking and I'm filming and you're in the kitchen with me, of course you're going to be seen in the video, right? But it was not a couple's channel. Like, I think the best example of like a couple's channel would be like Wajiza's. It's about them as a couple. Just Doing Life wasn't about us as a couple. That was the difference. So now when our relationship ended, I continued with the channel because the intended purpose for the channel didn't die.
It was just doing life.
Yes, and I was just doing life now as a single woman. So I continued just doing life and how I was adjusting, because at that point we just moved. I was not living in Nairobi anymore. I had just picked up this house to do a renovation on. I was now living in the countryside, and I remember at that time I was living at my friend's house. So it was just like now just readjusting to my life, just doing life now in this new space. And even like now, the reason the vlogs moved back to my main channel was because my cousin has always been opposed to me having everything separate, because he's always of the idea, you're the one doing all these things, you should just have them under one roof. And I see the importance of that now, because unlike the people who create for YouTube abroad, we don't have the luxury of just being like, I can post one video and get 200 million views. I'm not Mr. Beast. And it has taken him a while. He has like a whole production team that plans all those things. And the reason that works is like the format of the kind of content he creates allows for that to happen. He can easily post, just like for him, it can easily be a quality thing versus quantity thing. The way YouTube is set up here, quantity also matters. So that thing we're talking about, the
quantity and quality.
Yes, you can have but also the game that plays here more is the quantity game. Of course, quality comes now in terms of the people who watch your videos, because also we see people who, when they do the gossip type, let's do that, the gossip type, the TMZ type content.
Yeah, the BuzzFeed like.
Yes, BuzzFeed. Even BuzzFeed is a bit. Let's go Shade Room. Yes, the best, like the Shade Room type content. They get a lot of views, and you see that one. It doesn't really care much for
what's
the
a Shade Room
quality.
content?
Shade Room content is when you talk about the things that celebrities are doing.
Oh, I see.
That is what Shade Room content is. Basically, what Eve Mungai was doing, where it's like she goes and finds that Nani has just landed back in the country. She goes and asks them a couple of questions. So and so has a concert. She comes and asks you about your, rumors we've had that you now have another baby mama. Is this true? That kind of content. And that's why I think also they're able to, with such content, you're able to churn out so much. Because I talked to Jagero for 5 minutes, that's a video by itself. I talked to Ochuka for 5 minutes, that's another video. And it doesn't require a lot of editing or anything. I don't have to sit down and be like, okay, what is the story I wanted to tell with this video beginning to end? No, I asked 3 questions, 3 hot fire questions. Ochuka akastumble kidogo, but amesema afumi, I'm like, oh, I have a hot take. Nenda na post nasema, Ochuka claims now that, da 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 da. And that's like, ooh, wait, Atiochuka said what?
Yeah.
That becomes a thing.
Yeah.
So with such content, that's why they're able to churn out so much content. Someone can do 5 videos in a day, but with you can't do 5 videos even in a week.
Yeah.
It's a tall order. So the thing that I've realized with content here is that also quantity is put above quality. If you have quality content, awesome. If you have quality and quantity, even better. But quantity gets you money. Quantity is where the money is at. And sometimes it's hard to play that game of, like, does that mean now that I just want to post for the sake of posting? Because now you'll be like, there's a brand I have built. There's a level of quality that I have been putting out that I can't go below that. So I'm like, I'd rather just do my 1 video a week. I'd rather just do 2 videos a week at most and be content with what comes out of that and build a community. Because I think also with the way we do certain things, we build community around it. So back to the conversation about, I kicked him out of the channel. My question is, what was the contribution? Because then you should have seen the contribution that was kicked out, because then now I'm fumbling, I'm not posting anymore. Because basically I was inviting him as a guest. We sit down, we have a conversation and share opinions on specific topics. That was as involved as he was with the channel. So at the end of the day, it was my channel and he was a contributor once a week. The same way you've invited me here to share my opinions on content creation. No, that doesn't mean I own half of. And even if I came but you see, the conversation we had before was, hey, would you want to be a part of would you want to come share your opinion? Because for me, it was like, instead of just me talking and just saying, this is what I think, I would also want to have another voice and hear what they think. Yeah. And then after that, even when he left, we did have a conversation when the relationship ended. Yeah, if he wanted the channel, I'd have given it to him.
Really?
But he would have just stayed there and died, yeah. Because he wasn't creating content. Do you get that?
Yes.
Like, because even for Instagram and the other things, even if you go to that, like I used to take a lot of photos for him. So it wasn't that he wasn't getting anything out of it. No, he was also getting something in return. I was able to help him run his socials as well. I would help him have things for his social media. So it was a mutually beneficial partnership.
Yours is a little bit unique in the sense that the channel was yours.
Yes.
And he was just contributing, like, writing a column on a daily newspaper.
Yes.
He was a columnist.
He was a columnist, yes. We can call it that.
But then we are having problems. Like I told you that we are now having a problem with the car conversations.
Yeah.
Where they have built this thing for several years. They have got 162,000.
Yes.
Trevor and Eve Mungai were having a whole like Trevor's is even crazier.
Yeah.
Because Trevor started a YouTube channel, started an Instagram channel, and started a Facebook channel, and named them after somebody else.
So now for me, that is a question. Because also, I'm like, then you should have hired her as an employee, but not use her name.
But you see
the problem is
the problem
the person's name.
He actually explained it. I don't know if you've heard his explanation.
No, I have not.
He was working for a content creation company that was sending him to the field. And they wanted a specific kind of content.
Yeah.
A very specific. And so when he was in the field, he was taking other content that the other company was not interested in. And he started posting it on his page. It was called something. And then one day they start going viral. The content that he was doing. So for example, he would go to a place where Diamond is performing and then ask Diamond a particular question that is not that the company did not. Yes.
Yeah.
So it started getting really viral. And then the company told him that we would like you to delete that channel. And so he went and told them that's
because now you're competing with us.
Yes, and then he went and told them that this is not my channel. This is my girlfriend's channel. And that night he went and changed
the name.
The channel. He gave the name of the YouTube before what it was before and how he changed that night.
Oh wow! Okay.
And because then Eve was the girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it started just growing exponentially.
Yes.
With the name Eve. And then so he wanted to have another Facebook by the same name. Then goes and does the same thing to Facebook.
Yeah.
Goes and does the same thing to
on
Instagram.
Yeah.
You see, and then so everybody that is seeing this. Is looking at, okay, Eve is the owner of this thing.
Yes.
It's
in fact her name.
Yes. And when he was talking with Ikonini, he even at some point was wondering, what do I do? I am so deep into this that it's very difficult to get out of it. In fact, at some point, he had to stop looking at the messages coming on Instagram. Because now it was her Instagram. Men were talking with her on that Instagram account.
It's no longer just a...
Yeah. So he was saying that at some point he had to let it go.
Yeah.
So according to you, what do you think should be done? Because I will call Ochuk and we'll start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'll call Ronaldo. I'll call Mso and we'll start something else.
Yeah.
What do you think people should be doing before they actually start these things together as friends?
I think you should first understand what your relationship is to the channel. So we're coming in as partners. So what percentage of this channel do I own? And what percentage do you own? And maybe I would say don't have, you see, like at least with the conversations, it's like it's not one person's name.
Yes.
Like the way I forgot their names already.
Yes.
But it's not that particular person's name. So that means it's easier for you to, even if you say dissolve, I can buy you out. If I know you own 50% of it, I can say, cool, I want to continue, you don't. So how do we go about how I can acquire the 50% that you own? So even with maybe Trevor and Eve, maybe that should have also been the conversation where she says, can I buy you out? Because at the end of the day, I know your contribution.
She actually wanted to buy him out.
So why did he say no? Or he didn't want to sell?
Yes.
So the relation, because now you can also say, okay, our relationship has ended, but we can commit to securing the bag together. And even if that means I don't want to have to deal with you, I can do it by proxy. I can have someone who's our go-in-between, where we say, we can have someone who's running this. We hire a third party, right?
Yeah, because they could hire a third party.
Yeah, they could have hired a third party where we continue. We know we have built a brand here. This brand brings in good money, and I don't want to be on the losing end, and neither do you. We own this 50-50 because, yes, I've used your face. You are the face of the channel. You do go out there and do those interviews. I am the back end of the channel. I edit. I do the posting. I do all these other things. So we all know what we contribute to this channel. Hire a third party who then becomes the going between us. Because unajua pia shida ni heartbreak, na when you live, kuna machungu zinabakingi katikati.
Yeah.
Depending on who decides to end the relationship and the reasons why the relationship has ended. Because also there's times where you can be like, I've ended this relationship and I never ever want to see this person ever again. But now we are tied together because we have a business. It's like when you have a child, right? Look at it the same way. You've built something together. That thing doesn't have to die just because your relationship ended, right? So what are the ways in which you can handle that? I think, one, the third party would have been a great way to go about it. Or you can do what happened with Shiko and Rama. We leave it there as is and we never have to do anything with it. You go start a new one and me, I go start a new one. That's another alternative.
Why?
No, see, if we say we've built this together, we're no longer together, so we can dissolve it, yes, and say, me, I'll go start afresh. Because if we can't see eye to eye, because also the thing is, you can't run a business if we can't talk, if we can't stand each other. It would be very hard for us to run a business together, right? So in such an instance, then we say, fine, we kill this business and everyone, kama unajiamini, you go start yours and me, I'll go start mine. So that's what I would say, even for all of them. If you don't want me to buy you out, because at least I think with conversations it's easier because one person has expressed I want to continue and the other one said I don't want. I think there it's easy, fine. Then how can I continue without you? And what do you get now that you're exiting that you feel is justifiable, right? You feel like, okay, nitatoka roho safi, I've gotten what I wanted, you've given me ABC, and sitashika my feelings na uko. If I go and then now in 3 months this channel has 1 million subscribers, tuandikiane. The same way tuliandikiana, we own it 50-50. Umeenda. If you say, give me 100,000 shillings and I leave everything to you, we have that in writing. And you don't get to claim anything.
Or give me 10 million and you'll pay it to me in 5 years.
In 5 years, exactly. We decide what that looks like. I think with them it would be easier. With the Eve Mongai situation and Trevor, it becomes a bit more difficult because it's her name. Yes, you can say it's my work, but it's her name. You can't tell her to stop using her name.
Yes.
You can't say now stop using your name. Yes, he went and changed the channel, whatever. Because even as Eve, she can now come and say, now you can't use my likeness, or you'll have to start paying me for all the videos that are still on the channel that have my face on it.
Yes, and are earning money.
Yes, because they're still going to earn money.
They are.
Because with YouTube, it can take, like, randomly a video you shot in 2014 or like a video from last year can gain traction because of a conversation that's happening. Because with them, they deal with celebrities, for instance. So let's say there's a video you shot with Diamond, let's use Diamond as an example again. And then now Diamond has gone and impregnated another East African girl somewhere. Now sasa tuseme ameenda akapanda mbegu Rwanda. Kuzi
Yes.
yake ni kama akotua. Tuseme amepanda Rwanda. Now we're like, hey, Diamond, Anna bringing the East African community together. Right? So now the video I shot with Diamond now is gaining traction because everyone is looking for Diamond information right now. But it's still my face in it. That means right now that video is bringing you money. How will I be compensated for that?
Yeah.
Because now you see that's where the conversations come into play. Then, because you can easily say, stop using my videos. Even me right now, if Nick said, stop using my videos, I just pull them down. Yeah. I'm like, they're still there. They can still earn me money, right? If someone says, oh, because you see, for me, our conversations were very topic-based. They weren't personality-based. They weren't about him as a person. But if he says, I've changed my opinions on a certain conversation we had, and I wouldn't want that video to still be up, I respect that. I can say, cool, I'll take it down. Because you've changed your opinions on the same.
By the way, talking about pulling videos down, what would you do if somebody that you have a chat with wants the video down?
See, I think I would have enough respect for that person to just pull the video down. Also, like, it's a matter of also what's the reasoning behind it. We can have a conversation about it because at the end of the day, I own the video. Yeah.
They can't go to YouTube and tell them that.
No. I own the video. I own the copyright of that. They own their likeness, but in you sitting down with me to have that conversation, you gave me consent.
How?
Because you consented to having that topic of conversation with me.
So they cannot go and petition YouTube to bring it down? No,
you can't petition. Even YouTube would tell you have to have a conversation with me. I don't think you can petition them directly because the person who owns the video is the person who owns... The same way with music. I own the music. So if you use it, I can come now petition YouTube because I am the one who owns the music. And you see now, for instance, let me give you an example of something that happened with me on YouTube and music. There was an artist who had given their music out to be used freely. Then randomly later on, they decided that they want people to pay for that music. But I had been using their music and I really liked their song. So what I did is now I get a copyright strike. So I wrote to the artist and I said, these strikes, I have like multiple videos that have your songs. And it was when you freely gave me the music to use. So you need to whitelist me. And they said, I get it. Because when they gave me the music for free. So now you can't give me something for free, then come charge me later. We'd already, our contract was, it was for free, take it. I used it. Then you come later on and say, your videos are making so much money, now pay me. Now that's it has to be a conversation between the two of us. You can now start telling YouTube, this person is making money from my video. Please tell them to pay me. You can't do that.
So they whitelisted you?
Yeah, they whitelisted me. And then my videos went back to just being the way they were. And now from that moment...
How do they get to whitelist you?
Now it's like they say, no, this person is allowed to use my music. You see, the same way you would... when you pay for music, say with Epidemic Sound, for instance, they whitelist your channel.
Yeah.
Right? So that means if someone else, even you,
but
if you don't pay...
They have become very dodgy these days.
They've become very expensive as well.
No, dodgy.
Hey, even with the music.
Yes, now, if you pay...
Yes.
Epidemic Sound this month and download videos, download music, and then you cancel the subscription. You can't use the ones that you've downloaded.
But that's how their model works. Their model works
Not Kitambo.
I don't know about Kitambo because for me, since I've used them, it was if I'm subscribing for monthly, if I've paid for this month, I can use that music, and even after that, it's still safe. But if next month I have not paid and I want to use the music, then I get a copyright strike because I haven't subscribed to use the music for that month. You get, because for them it's a monthly subscription thing. It's the same way Netflix. You pay this month. I can't, even if I download the movie, I can't watch it next month if I haven't paid for it, because the moment you log in, they'll be like, oh, your subscription has been
I think that's
on
different.
So no, it actually works exactly the same way.
I think it's different.
No, it works the same way.
Because
the only difference with Epidemic is...
But they told me to pay and download as much as I want.
No, you misunderstood. Hapo sasa hii ni Jagero. This is on you. No, you can download, but you're only allowed to use the music as long as you have a subscription.
But
the
that's not like
download.
kitambo. That's not hiyo kitu imekuja lini.
Mimi from the moment the
When?
moment I used Epidemic, I know if I have not, and they even give you a certain grace period sometimes where they're like, okay, maybe tunangoja ni payments hazijaingia. But if I use the music on a month I've not subscribed, when I haven't paid my subscription, I will get a copyright strike. Yeah. You have to be like you don't pay Epidemic for downloads. It's not for downloading. That's hapo ndo wewe umejidanganya. You don't pay them to download their music to use whenever.
I see how much you're protecting them. I don't know
No,
what
I'm not protecting them. It's like literally that's how their policy works. Because I have had moments where even like I remember there's one time I petitioned because there was a problem with their payment system. It wasn't allowing me to pay. It was refusing my card. And it was the same card I had been using. It was refusing and they were trying to force me to use PayPal. I just wrote them an email and I said, no. You can't put my song on whatever because the money is there. You're the ones who are refusing to take it and the card is attached. So someone worked on it on the back end and then I was good. Yeah. So for them, it's a subscription-based thing. It doesn't matter. I have music I downloaded last year. I don't have a subscription right now. If I use it, I'll get a copyright strike. And I downloaded the music when I was subscribed. But theirs is subscription-based.
Do you think you're going to be using AI music?
No. I'm getting to a point, like even that thing you're saying about music, I also want to get to because of that thing where someone suddenly decides that now their music is for sale and it wasn't before. When that happened, I was like, because even like with free music, because right now I'm using free music. I've gone back to using free music.
Where do you get free music?
There's a company called NCS, no copyright sound. They usually have producers who put their music there for free, and then all you do is just credit them. They just want to be credited.
Where do you credit them on the description?
On the description box.
You say
the credits, there's a specific way they want you to credit. Like they even write it out for you. It has a link to their
Then you
their
just
page.
copy it.
Yeah, you just copy paste. So as long as you have that, and now even with that, if you don't put it, you get the copyright thing. Then the moment you put it, it's removed. So you just have to remember to put to do the credits. So there are rules to these things.
It was very nice chatting with you.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about going forward? You started a radio segment with Power Radio.
Yes, and I am hosting a show that is about women and women's issues and the problems we face, and hopefully we can find some solutions or just bring light to some of the things we deal with. Because it's like the way you were saying, in talking to women, you've realized a lot of things that women deal with. There's people who don't get a chance to actually talk to women. And some people, they talk to women, they just don't listen, or they don't care enough to listen. They just go like, hizi vitu zinahapenikia kila mtu. I don't know why you're making it a big deal. You know? So
I want us to talk about women in one of the podcasts because I've got a lot of questions to ask you.
Okay, sure. That's all right. We can plan another, Nini. Yeah, I don't mind.
It was beautiful talking to you. Thank you very much for coming to Dialogues with Jagero. I've been having you on my radar. Saying that Muso is one of the people that I really, really want to talk with.
Yeah.
And it was nice chatting with you.
It was nice chatting with you as well, yeah.
All right.